Hello everyone, welcome to the another lecture of Pure Substances and Mixture Class 6. Myself Suman Singh. So in the last class we have discussed about the difference between water and air, compounds and mixture, as well as we also discussed about the components of mixture which can be separated by a physical method, right? So now in today's class we will discuss about why there is a need for the separation of the constituent of a mixture. Okay, so when we discussed about the needs for the separation of the constituent of a mixture, we will see what is written here and try to understand. So first of all, we need many substances for uh, for purposeful use in our home and industries, right? And most of these substances are available in the form of a mixture. We know that in our home, or in, if you talk about in industries or any food processing companies, so there we use so many substances, right? But you will see that most of the substances which we will find is they were in the form of a mixture. So what we have to do, we have to separate, what we can say like this, we have to separate the different constituent of a mixture, and after that we can use that, right? So one two example is there given here, some of the example. So we will see what is the what are that example. So the first example is cereals like rice, wheat, pulses are often contains small stone, husk, etc. as an impurities. Before cooking, these impurities need to be removed since they are harmful, right? So if you have seen in your home also, you are using rice, right? So before cooking that, right, you have seen there your mother or sisters used to pick up the stones which is there in the rice, right? So why? Because the stone is very dangerous for us, right? So what we are doing, we are just removing that stones or husk particles from, or we can say in sometimes you will get the mud also. So we used to remove that, okay, before cooking. And these are what these stones, husk, and other muds, whatever that is present in the rice, along with the rice, these are what impurities, right? So then since they have to remove before cooking, right, because they are harmful for us, right? So this is one example. Another example you can see, that the example of the seawater. Okay, seawater, when you will see that the seawater is a mixture of water and common salt. Okay, not only water and common salt, there are so many minerals are also there, and so many harmful substances are also there, right? So common salt, which we use in our house for cooking and for eating, is an important substance used in our food, right? Because you know that without that salt in the we will not get the taste, right? Or we will not be able to eat without the salt, right? So that common salt is an important substance used in our food. Okay, why this common salts are used? It because it add taste and nutrients, right? So therefore there is a need to obtain a salt from the seawater by separating them. So how we used to separate them? So there is a method, there are different methods, we will see what are that method. So with that different methods, what we do, we used to separate that seawater, and we used to obtain, or we can say that we used to separate water and the salt which is present in the seawater, and that salt which we and then when whatever the salt which we will get, that salt what we will do, will further process it and we use for our eating purpose or cooking purpose, right? So that is common salt, and which is found in the seawater, is also a mixture, because in the seawater you will get a mixture of salt, minerals, water, like this, right? So these are, first of all, they are separated, and after that they are used for cooking, right? Or they are used for consumptions. Now next example is, you can see, another example is the component of the crude petroleum. So if you will get the chance to see the crude petroleum, it is a very dark black color, so liquid. So when you will see the components of crude petroleum oil, in here, from the crude petroleum oil we used to separate petrol, diesel, kerosene, and other turbine oil, and other uh, bags from that from that crude petroleum, and we will use them separately, right? Because when you will see the component of crude petroleum oil are separated, we get many important substances like we when you will see, first of all, the crude petroleum contains, in the crude petroleum you will get petrol, diesel, kerosene oil. After that, some fuels, okay, wax, that candle which you use in our house. After that, the tar. So these are found in the petrol. These are all what petroleum products. So as a whole, when you will extract petrol from the earth surface, so at that time they will get the whatever the petroleum product you will get, they are not good for using. What we are using, what we are doing, whatever the crude petrol which we are extracting from the ground, they are filtered, right? Means they are means you will do their frictional distillation. It is a process, we will learn about this. So there is a container, or we can say that there is a processing unit where we used to put that crude petroleum product, and that machine, or we can say that machine, what they used to do, it used to separate the different constituent of that petroleum. Just like in that crude petroleum oil, you will get so many products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, like this. So what we have to do, we are just separating that petrol, diesel, kerosene and fuel, wax, like this, from that petroleum product, and after that we are using them separately, right? So this was another example. Now next example is water used for drinking purpose is completely pure, right? You used to whatever the water which we will drink, it is not whatever the water we use for drinking purpose is not completely pure. It contains what? It contains air and salt, right? So it required to be pure. So it is required in its purest form to for prepare medicine in laboratory and in car batteries, okay? For this purpose, all these impurities all these impurities, all the impurities of water needed to be removed, right? Because whatever the water which you use for our drinking purpose is not completely pure, okay? Here there it is free from germs, but there you will get so many other minerals, like some of the salt. Sometimes it contains salt, very little amount of salt. Sometimes it contains minerals, it contains air, right? So that water you used to purify them, and that purified water we use for medicines and in laboratories and for in car batteries and etc., right? So these were some of the example which prove that why there is a need for the separation of the constituent of a mixture, right? So what we can say, separation of the constituent of a mixture is necessary. Why it is necessary? It is necessary to remove the undesirable, or we can say that the harmful substances, whatever the harmful substances which is not fit for us, we used to remove that harmful and desirable substance through the process of separation, right? Now next is we get the useful substance, right? After the separation, what we will get? We will get the substance which is very useful for us, right? Now next, what we can say, it completely whatever the substance we get after the separation is completely pure substance, and for the preparation of other useful substances, and it is used for the preparation of other useful substances, right? So I hope you have got some idea why there is a need for the separation of constituent particles, right? So here so many examples are given, so we will see one by one. So first of all, we will see what is the definition for separation. So it is very good definition is given in your book, you will see. So separation is what? It is the process by which the constituents forming a mixture are set apart from one another to get a pure substance is called separation, okay? I will give you one example for that. Suppose we have a what the example which we have seen, right? Suppose this is a container, and in this container there is a salt water, right? The sea water. So what we will do, we will separate this. During the after separation, what we will get from there, we will get salt, right? We will get salt as well as water. So as you can see, salt is used for different purpose, water is also used for different purpose, right? So what we can say, separation is just a process by which the constituent forming a mixture are set apart from one another to get a pure substance. This is called separation, right? Now, so what are the principle on which this separation depends upon? So separation, the principle of separation depends upon the type of mixture, okay, and the characteristics property of the constituent forming in it. Like what is the size of the constituent particle, what is the shape of the constituent particle, what is the color, what is the density, what is the melting point, boiling point, solubility, metallic nature. All these, the whatever the from here to here, whatever you are seeing, these are what these are the constituent properties of that constituent particle which is forming a mixture, right? So the principle of separation will depend upon this, right? Size, shape, color, density, melting point, boiling point, solubility, metallic nature, etc. Okay, so these are the basic principle on which the separation will depends upon. So first example is, as you can see, first example is the example of filtering. As you can see, tea leaves are separated from the tea by filtering it, though it is it throat and strainer, right? If a tea leaves is freshly fairly large, they are left to settle before drinking the tea, right? So this technique is called what? Decantation. What we can see, when you are when you are just making a tea in our home using tea leaves, what we are doing, we are using a one filter net like substance, what, right, to separate the tea leaves from the tea what we have made, right? So that that process, or sometimes we what we used to do, if the tea leaves is bigger in size, so at that time what we will do, we will leave that tea for sometimes. What you will see, that after sometimes whatever the tea leaves were there, it will go and deposit in the bottom of the container like this, right? Suppose this is the container, and in this container suppose tea is there. So after cooking, what will happen, whatever the large particle of tea will be there, it will go and settle down here, right, in the bottom of the container, and from here you can take out the tea and you can drink, right? So that process in which the settling of the tea leaves below the container is called what? That process is called decantation. Okay, so I hope you have understood this, right? Let me explain you again. Tea leaves is what? Tea leaves are separated from the tea by filtering, right? Filtering it through a strainer. You have seen that strainer, right? The circle one, and here small dots are there, right? So when you will pour the tea on that, on this separating trap and this strainer, what you will see, the tea leaves will be above and the water particle or tea will go below the in the glass, right? So now after this is one process. Another process is what, if the tea leaves is bigger, but we will leave that tea in the container, what will happen, after some time the tea leaves will come and settle down below the container, right? And you will, now you can easily filter out that tea and you can drink, right? So as you can see, this one, this is called what? Strainer. You have seen, right, in your home, you've seen in our home, right? So what we are doing, we are just pouring it into the here. So whatever the tea leaves is here, it will go and struck here, and the fresh only that water particle, or we can say the tea particle, we will get here. So this process is called filtration. Okay, and one more process is what? Decantation. So for decantation, if the tea leaves are large, so what we will do, we will just leave like this. So at that time what will happen, after some time the tea leaves will come and settle here. As you can see here in this example, it is very clearly shown here, right? So I hope you can understand from here, right? So decantation is what, when you leave that for some time, the tea particle will go and settle down below the cup, right? So this is called, process is called decantation. Okay, and filtration is this. As you can see, what we are doing, filtering by using a strainer, right? So this was one example. Now, so what we can say, different types of different type of mixture, mm, different type of mixture needs different methods for separation, right? Because we cannot separate all the mixture from this method only. So there are different methods, there are different methods for separating different type of mixtures, right? So what it is written, you can see here, different type of mixture, different methods are applied to separate their constituent, right? So we cannot separate the mixture by only one process. To separate the mixture, we have to use so many different methods, right? So the first method is separation of solid mixture. If the mixture contains only solid particle, not any liquid particles, right? Just like the example of the grain, or you can say rice, or rice, suppose the rice is there, in that rice suppose there is a stone is there, so right. So how used to pick out that stone, we pick out by hand, with our hand, right? So that's why it is called hand picking. So hand picking is what, this is a, it is also a separation method in which the which type of mixture is separated by hand picking. If someone asks you which type of separate mixture is separated by hand picking. So your answer will be solid mixture. If the mixture contains only the solid particles, or we can say that if the constituent of mixture are solids only, then at that time we can use what, hand picking or winnowing method. Okay, hand picking and winnowing method. So we'll see what is hand picking and winnowing method. Hand picking method is very easy. The in your home also you have seen so many times your mother or sister used to pick out that stone from a rice, right? Or sometimes the stone or mud particle from a pulses, right? So that process is what, that process is called hand picking method. Okay, so what is written we will see here. Hand picking method is, this method is used, and this method of a separation can be used when the quantity of mixture is small and the substance to be separated from a small portion of the mixture. Means what, when you can, I hope you understand what is hand picking, right? But when we can use this hand picking method can be used when the quantity of the mixture is very small. If we are asked to separate the stone from a rice, if 1 quintal rice is there, so it will be not be possible to separate, right? So hand picking method is used for only a small quantity, when the quantity of the mixture is very small and we have to separate only a small portion of the mixture. At that time we used to use hand picking method. So hand picking method, right? So I hope you have got some idea, right? Now next, what we can say, substance would be large enough in size to be recognized and picked out by hand. Small stones are picked out from rice, pulses, and spices by this method. Now, whatever the impure substance which is present in that mixture should be bigger in size, so that we can recognize that and we can easily pick that one, right? So, through this process, the hand picking method, we used to separate small stones are picked from the rice, as I have already given you example, right? Rice, pulses, and spices by this method, right? So I hope you have understood this. Now next method is winnowing method. So this method is used to separate a light solid from a heavier one. Suppose you can see, you can take the example of the rice. So when the rice is harvested, at that time what they used to do, after harvesting rice, what we are doing, we are just processing that, right? So if you have seen in your harvesting season, the rice has been taken and it has been thrown on a stone. After that what it will give, it will break into smaller pieces, right? So after that what we used to do, we used to do like this, right? This is a winnowing method. Means what, this method, this method is what, winnowing method. So this type of container used to there we used to take the rice and the rice which is mixed with the husk, right? Small husk particle. So when you will do like this, at that time what will happen, this husk particle will come here, and since rice particle is heavier, so it will come here. So this process is called what, winnowing method, right? So let us see what is written here. So we are taking the example of, they take the mixture of rice and husk, right? So when it is allowed to fall from a height, when you will allow to uh, that when you allow that mixture of rice and husk to fall from a height, what will happen, rice grain is being heavier, right? So it will fall vertically down, while the husk get blow away by the air and form a heap as a small distance away from the heap of the rice, right? And this way we can separate the rice from a husk. As you can see, this example is a very good example. So in this, here we have taken what, rice which is mixed with husk, right? So when we have started um, dropping from a height, so what will happen, the rice, since it is heavier in size, so it will drop like this here vertically here, and the husk particle, since husk particle is what, it is lighter, right? So with the help of the wind, husk particle, what it will do, it will blow away from the rice, it will come here and the rice will come here. So whatever the rice is here, we will separate this one, right? So this process is called what, winnowing process. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. So you can see the process of separation of grain from the husk and hay with the help of wind is called what, winnowing, as you can see here, right? Now next method is sieving. So sieving is what, sieving also you have seen in your home, right? In your home you have seen the sieving method, right? Let us see what is written here. So this method is used when the mixture contain a component of different sizes, right? If the mixture contains of different sizes. At that time we used the method which is sieving, right. Sieving is made by filtering the mass into a flame. Means the size of the hole in the mass is varies from different mixtures, and when the mixture of a solid is sieved, those with a larger in size than whole is sieved remain in it, while the smaller one pass through it. I will give you one example. It will be like this. Suppose this is a sieving, right? And in sieving there is a small hole like this, right? There is a in a sieving. Let me draw it smaller, so that suppose there is a sieving, right? And in this sieving you will see there is a small hole like this, right? You have seen in our home, right? Small hole is there, right? Like this, right? So this is used for the separate sieving. Is what here what we will do, we will add here, especially we will see that the wheat flour, atta that we say, right? So atta, when you will put that here and when you will shake this one, what will happen, whatever the impurities which is present in that wheat flour or atta, we will come here, will come and be here, and the fine um, atta or wheat flour will go downward, right? Like this. As you can see, this woman, you can understand from this diagram, right? What it is doing, what she is doing, she is taking a container. This is sieving, right? Here she has poured atta or anything else, suji or maida, anything, right? And when she was shaking at that time, whatever the larger particle has come and attached here, and the smallest fine particle has go below there, right? So I hope you have understood this, right? So let us read what is written here. So this method is what? This method is used when the mixture contains a component of different size, right? So sieving is what? Sieving is made by fitting a max into a frame. There is a size of hole in the max varies from different mixture, right? And when the mixture of a solid is sieved through sieved, those with a larger in size than the hole is sieved remain it, while the smaller ones pass through it, right? So what we can say, the fine sieves are used for in the kitchen to remove undesirable solid impurities from the flour, rice, powder, etc. Right? So large sieves are used for separation of sand and stone for the construction purpose. Also, you have seen in the construction purpose also. When there was a construction work is going on near your house, you have seen that they used to use the large sievers. There they used to throw a sand, and the in whatever the bigger particle or stone particle which is present in the sand, they used to purify that one, right? So this process is called what? Sieving. Jewelry is separate pearls of different sizes by sieving, right? Jewelers also separate the pearls of different sizes by sieving, right? And it is also used for separation of castanets and of different sizes, and separation of sand from gravel, etc. So I hope you have understood this, right? This method also you have understood. So this was all about your saving method. So I hope for today you keep up to this, right? So I hope today's class you have understood, right? So keep up to this. In the next class we will discuss about the magnetic separation, right? So till that, thank you.